Dessa senhorita aqui, ó. Yelan. Já tem que pronunciar, não sei. A própria pavilhão e o raio fazer a avaliação. Vou com essa equipe mesmo. Como é que eu tenha morrido ali, hein?
My legs are getting sore. What is wrong with this assessment officer? This is a huge occasion and I don't even get a chair. I've dealt with all kinds of people in my time, but never have I been made to stand while I'm waiting for an appointment.
Oh, I mean, I think it's fine.
That's called being complacent. If you're happy to just accept the way things are, you'll never be able to change anything in the future.
Oh, come on. That's just... Now you're just being unreasonable.
All right, you two. Let's not get into a big argument over this. It's not worth it. Qianwei, that was a bit uncalled for. And Mingbo, cut him some slack. We've all been standing around for a while. It's natural to be getting irritable. Look, how about this? There's no rule saying we're obliged to stand up while we wait, so why don't we borrow some chairs from the guild nearby?
Fine. They're not the best quality chairs, to be sure. But under the circumstances, it would be better than nothing.
Você entra na área de
It looks like all
avaliação.
3 candidates have arrived.
Então aqueles 3 são...
We'll meet them formally soon. Before that, let me run you through the assessment process.
Tá, me explique.
I've split it
Pode?
into 2 stages: current affairs and planning, and face-to-face interview. In the
Tá.
first stage, candidates are required to submit a manifesto for Liyue's development. In the second stage, we will ask them some questions in person. Writing a
Tá.
manifesto takes time, so I informed them of this requirement in advance. These are the reports they submitted.
Wow, one of them is really thick.
It's also worth mentioning a stipulation I gave them. Whoever is appointed as the new Tianshu will be expected to implement their plan as put forward in their manifesto. Failing the occurrence of some cataclysmic event, they will not be permitted to change their plan. Therefore, these 3 piles of documents in front of us represent where each candidate stands on key policy issues. There's still some time. Have a skim through, get a first impression of what each person's proposing. I'll be
Tá.
waiting off to the side. Just let me know when you're done.
A gente vai ter que ir lá. Ah, vou ler não, já sabe, né? O livro de planos do carinha. Deixa eu me sentar. Vamos ver... Qual é o primeiro aqui? Vamos ver esse aqui. Vamos ver o primeiro lá de cima, né? Mais fácil. Ué. O F é o centro. O livro do plano, elaborado internamente em termos de assuntos externos de plano. Tá. Não deu pra ver nada do primeiro livro. Vamos ver o segundo. Calma aí, eu tenho que... Será que vai fazer essa pergunta? Tá, muitas ideias inovadoras sobre planos, sobre problemas de negócio. Planos e benefícios são inseparáveis. Essa parte do seu ponto de vista. O primeiro eu nem me lembro mais. Contém todos os aspectos da política interna e da vida das pessoas. Tá. Se me perguntar de quem é o livro, eu não vou lembrar, tá?
Finished, huh? What did you think?
Tem que responder?
Everyone took it very seriously.
Of course they did. They have the chance to be picked as the new Tianshu, so you can bet they're putting their best foot forward. And keep in mind, whoever gets in has to execute their plan as written. Nobody wants to have any regrets.
O que você acha, Ela?
That's for me to know and you to find out. We can talk more after the interviews. We'll see the candidates now. Let's do one at a time. Start with Chenwei.
Yes, ma'am.
Claro. Lian traz o amiguinho.
So you two are the assessment officers, are you?
Pode dizer que eu faço som,
I
faz
assume
tudo.
that given the great import of this situation, Lady Ningguang would perhaps be assessing us in person. I certainly hadn't imagined I'd be seeing two entirely unfamiliar
Tá,
faces.
ignorante é
I
igual.
trust
Isso,
you've
hein?
read through my manifesto. I'd be more than happy to clarify any details you found difficult to grasp. It was written with an expert audience in mind, after all.
Mind your tone, mister.
Relax. It wasn't intended as a personal slight against anyone in particular.
As habilidades de
I was
comunicação
simply stating a
são...
fact.
Você aprendeu elas com a repintura de nuvem?
Cloud Retainer? You know this Adeptus? Oh, yes, I remember now. You must be the traveler that people are constantly talking about. With your sterling reputation, you must have a respectable level of erudition. Perhaps you will be able to understand the concepts I have put
Sei,
forward.
sei.
Yeah, although I shouldn't get my hopes up.
Ela não termina de ir com ele e pediu pra que ele
Oh.
chamasse outro, né?
Is it my turn?
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
I'm, Mingbo.
Mingbo.
I work in the Ministry of Civil Affairs. I've worked there for, 9 years, 5
Nossa,
months,
esse é dos cálculos,
and 3
hein?
days.
Sabe até
In
o
that
dia.
time, I've handled, 2,347 cases. I
Tá.
have 12 active cases at the moment. They should be concluded in, 16 days? My current work is related to urban planning, and I'm also responsible for, auditing the accounts. To be more precise, there are 3 parts to the accounts, namely...
Is it just Paimon, or is he not very good at public speaking?
É,
You know what? Let's leave the self-introduction there and move on to some questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Tá, ele não consegue se comunicar direito, mas pelo menos ele tem uma boa... Como posso dizer?
Hello.
Não consegui dizer.
Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous. What would you like to know? You're here to assess me, so ask away and I'll answer your questions to the best
Tá,
of
esse
my
aqui sabe se
ability.
comunicar.
Your
Periférico.
manifesto is very wide in its scope, but you don't seem to be personally involved in many of the specific fields. How can you be sure that you have the ability to put your plan into
Que
action?
pergunta cruel.
Very fair question. I completely understand where you're coming from. But I'm confident in my plan. I've visited many different places, talked to lots of people with far more expertise than myself, and my manifesto is the conclusion of these efforts. Of course, 2 different problems can be interconnected in very complicated ways, and you might reach 2 very contradictory conclusions depending on which one you're focusing on. What I've
Tá.
tried to do is strike a
Por enquanto eu vou
balance.
estudar esse
In
aí.
other words, present an optimal solution to all the problems as a whole.
How do you plan to determine whether you are right or wrong about your proposed solution being the optimal one?
A great question. Well, I'd start by having my colleagues and the secretaries of the Yuehai Pavilion evaluate any proposals before implementation. Post-implementation, it would all come down to the results. If it turned out that my judgment was to blame for poor results, I would take responsibility.
Nice answer. All right, next question.
Isso dele.
He seems like a great guy. Everything he said was thoughtful and logical, and he was just a
Tem
pleasure to
razão,
listen to.
nada demais.
Here's my take on what we just learned. As you saw, Qianwei is highly knowledgeable. He proposes many excellent ideas in his manifesto which effectively target the big issues. But he is very proud and incredibly stubborn. He doesn't care much about other people's feelings. Mingbo's plan is more thorough and more measured. You can tell he's meticulous in his work, very detail-oriented. But he and Qianwei are otherwise polar opposites. Mingbo is not very articulate and comes across as very timid in conversation.
Perfect summary. Paimon couldn't agree more. You're good at this, Yewan.
Last but not least, Jur-E. His manifesto is full of pertinent details, his methodology is sound, and his proposals cover a broad range of fields, which is quite a rare feat. The depth he goes into in each and every area means it can only be a product of painstaking work. Plus, he is modest and
Pelo menos é o que
good
ele
at
tava
dealing with
demonstrando
people.
pra gente, né?
But what really interests me is that many of his views happen to coincide with Uncle Tien's. Having someone like Jur-E take the position would certainly put Uncle Tien's mind at rest.
Great.
E o Tio Tian, eu já falei com ele sem querer.
Let's
Mas
go
não
back
era
and
nada
report to
demais.
Uncle Tien.
Era o início da missão, né? Resultado, vamos falar com o tio, né? O tio tinha, eu fui fazer a missão das cartas. Porque eu achei que ia ser uma missãozinha básica, mas era a missão da Irlã, né? Mas quando pra iniciar essa missão eu tô vendo o tio aqui. Ele vai estar aqui. Olha ele aí, ó, tomando chá. Vou tentar aqui. Você descreve todos os processos de avaliação para o tio.
I see. Then it's more or less as I anticipated.
Tá.
Then let me ask this. The ideas in Jur-E's manifesto are very similar to your own. Is there any particular reason behind this?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything when I gave you the list of candidates, for fear of affecting your judgment.
Ele já sabia.
I can tell you now. Those 3 candidates have all studied under me in the past. It's only natural that they share some similarities with me. But Xin Wei went on to focus on his business, and Ming Bo has always been occupied with his work at the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Of all of them, Juri was with me for the longest duration.
Whoa! So how did you get to know them all, Uncle Tien?
E lá vem
Xin
história.
Wei was referred to me by an old friend. Ming Bo came to my attention in the course of my work, and as for Juri, that was pure happenstance. We first met while fishing. Gradually, as we got to know each other, we started discussing all sorts of topics. Juri came from a poor family, and his parents died when he was very young. But he was a gifted student and a fast learner. He reminded me of a younger version of myself. So I started out giving him a few words of advice when we were out fishing and noticed how quickly he caught on.
Pescávamos. Tá. Parece mais com um amigo, parece mais com uma família.
Quite. And now, all of a sudden, he's grown into a mature young man. It's a joy to see.
Você fica
Also
pensativo.
gets one thinking. The young are growing up, and I am growing old. How time flies. No
Ninguém
one can
pode escapar do
escape the
ciclo
cycle of
da
life.
vida.
I don't know, Uncle Tien. You still seem in pretty good shape to me. You might have another few years of work left in you, don't you think?
Oh, you. There's really no need to console me. Having less energy than I used to isn't such a bad thing. It just means I finally have a good reason to retire and spend my days doing what old men like me should be doing. Going fishing whenever I feel like it.
Sounds like you sure love fishing, Uncle Tien.
Ooh, there's nothing quite like fishing to pass the time. Ooh, and freshly caught fish, they make the most beautiful fish soup with barely any preparation required.
Aí não é pesca esportiva não, viu?
Fish soup. Sounds tasty.
Falei comida para eu ficar feliz.
Also, some time ago, Juri purchased a very special recipe from an old fisherman. When we've been fishing recently, Juri always brings some extra ingredients he prepared in advance. The addition of these makes the soup taste even more wonderful. That flavor makes for a fond memory. But at my age, who knows how many more chances I have left to taste
Você
it
poderá
again.
saborear muitas vezes ainda.
Oh, can Paimon come next time too? Paimon really wants to try it.
Let's get back to the matter at hand. Uncle Tien, we've reported back. Do you have a verdict?
Eu vou deixar aqui te escolher.
I appointed you as the assessment officer.
E eu
I
deixo pra
trust
você
your
o BO.
judgment. Had you not asked me why Juri's ideas were so similar to mine, I was not going to mention my history with any of them. This decision must be guided by what is fair
and right. Please disregard all other considerations and make your final decision only after a thorough review of
Ela
each
decidiu, será?
candidate's talents and capabilities. Remember, you must be thorough.
Ih, então tem algum BO
Understood.
aí.
Come on, let's go talk somewhere else.
Bye-bye, Uncle Tien. Look after yourself.
Cuide-se. Você vai pra fora da casa de chá.
So, it's gonna be Jiri, right?
Acho que ela não vai escolher ele, não.
His manifesto was written well, and he's the best speaker.
Easy. Let's not rush. There's no time limit for this assessment.
Huh? So, are you gonna give them more tests or something?
No, nothing like that. The assessment itself is complete. But let me give you a word of advice.
Sim.
Things are not always
Coisa
as they
muito
appear.
bonita.
The
Mas
biggest no-no in
tem algo ruim
intelligence
por
work is to
trás,
only
né?
get information from the
Uma
person of
maçã
interest
bonita por
themselves.
fora
The truth is almost
e tá
always
está
hidden
podre
beneath
por
many
dentro, né?
layers of deception.
É
You
algo
have to get
assim.
information through many different channels. For example, Wenyuan, Shanghua.
Yes?
Ih, rapaz. Do nada.
Lady Yelan, what are your orders?
Olha o clã dela aí, ó.
Who are they? Where did they come from?
Did they scare you? These two are Wenyuan and
Nem
Shanghua.
percebi, mesma
They
coisa da
work for me.
roupa.
As
Igualzinho.
my trusted assistants, they are always standing guard nearby. They also perform various assignments as
Ah.
required. Shanghua is a business expert who gets his information by trading. Wenyuan relies on word of mouth. And there's also Upei, who's not here right now.
That meathead must have been out there on sea surveillance for some time now. Is he all right? I seem to remember that he can't swim.
Ele foi pro mar e não sabe
Nothing can take
nadar.
that guy down.
Perigoso, hein?
Certainly not a little wind and waves.
Shanghua, visit all the commerce guilds and look into Qianwei's background. Wenyuan, go to the Ministry of Civil Affairs and look through Mingbo's work files.
Yes, ma'am.
Sim, senhora.
So what about
Nós vamos investigar, pai, já não sabe?
Zhi, well, obviously as the most promising candidate, we will be investigating him ourselves. Let's go to the docks first. Lots of people passing through there. You can find out all kinds of things.
If we're looking
Local
for
perfeito.
information, why don't we try talking to Bulai, the owner of Wanyu Boutique? He does business at the North Wharf. Maybe he has some news for us.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Então a gente vai tentar saber do passado, né? O que acham deles. A face que as pessoas conhecem. Ó. Vamos correr. Cadê? Tem ninguém aqui.
Huh? What's Bulai doing here today?
Look, your asking price for this batch is just too high. I can't buy in at this price. How am I supposed to turn a profit?
Come on, hear me out. I'm telling you, this is the single best batch of Sunsetias ever. You won't find anyone who disputes that. I accidentally dropped one into a well, and even the water turned sweet.
Even so...
All right. I'll let you in on a little secret. The boss of Second Life also wants to buy from me, but I haven't responded yet. If
Sei.
you won't take him, I'll just have to partner with them instead. And neither of us wants that.
Okay, well, when you put it that way, I'll accept your asking price. I'll take all your stock. Don't sell
Ó,
a single one
certeza que é
to
mentira.
Second
Falou pra
Life.
concorrente. Ele acreditou nessa conversinha.
Oh, what are you doing here? And
Well,
to
I-
be clear, these Sunsetias are mine. I got to them first. Don't get any ideas.
Tem um monte na minha mochila, tem um monte na minha mochila. Nós nem queremos.
Actually, we want to ask you about a guy called Jiri. Have you heard of him before?
Juri? Yes, he's quite well known. I've heard a story about him. They say he was born into poverty. His parents died when he was young, and he was treated cruelly by the local community. One of his neighbors was terribly rude to him all the time, But Juri never retaliated. And when his neighbor went bankrupt, he even helped support the family. He returned cruelty with kindness, injustice with peace offerings. A gentleman of talent and character, and... oh, how did I not notice him sooner? In fact, maybe I'm not too late. If I could hire him to be the brand ambassador for Wanyo Boutique.
Tá.
Oh, he sounds like a decent man. We can finally breathe a
Não,
sigh
é
of
só a
relief.
primeira pessoa.
Why are
Calma,
you
pai.
asking about him anyway? You aren't looking for a brand ambassador too, are you? Well then, in that case, the higher bidder takes the... Ah, that's Juri right over there. Why don't we go and talk to him?
Não, não, não.
Where? Where?
It's him, all right. Looks like he's chatting with Linlong. Come on, let's follow them and listen in.
Vamos bisbilhotar, né?
Try not to let him see you. We want this information to be as truthful as possible.
I'll just go and fetch an employment contract. And hey, don't try and cut me out of this.
Relaxa,
Hey!
tio. Ninguém quer roubar ele de você, não. Relaxa.
I understand. Let's walk and talk.
What's the hurry? Don't
Porra.
get too close, or he'll see you.
Calma aí, pô. Calma aí, pô.
Try not to let him see you. We want...
Tá, já sei.
I understand. Let's walk and talk.
É, tô seguindo o indivíduo, hein?
So, you were looking to buy a wineware set? Oh, now I can see that you're a connoisseur, so I won't bother trying to con you. I trust you understand our shop quite well?
The truth is, an old friend of mine, who likes to have a drink now and then, he fancies himself as a man of culture, but doesn't care for needless extravagance. So I thought I might buy him a set of high
Pô,
quality
teu ouvido
figs.
é só um alto, hein?
Very thoughtful of you. Leave
Nem
it
tô
to me,
lendo
then.
aqui o que tá
Come
acontecendo.
collect it at Shigu Antiques whenever is convenient.
Thank you very much, Miss Linlong.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Juri. These days, it's quite rare for someone of your standing to still keep up with their old friends. It's nice to see.
Será que a gente vai falar com ela?
I'll be sure to pick out a good set for you. You can count on me.
E aí, vai seguir aqui? Continuar?
Juri seems to get along really well with everyone.
Pô, ele parece muito santo, mas acho que
Satisfied now,
esse santo aí...
Seems like everyone thinks Juri's a great guy.
We shouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. Let's go check out the wharf where he usually goes fishing.
Vamos.
Do we have to?
Ué, pai, você não queria pescar?
Wait, you're not just trying to dig up some dirt on Juri because you want to be Tianchu yourself, are you?
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But hey, if I do become Tianshu, I'll look out for you guys. You'll be able to try all the finest food for free. How does that sound?
Ó, pai, ó.
Well, come on! Off to the South Wharf we go!
Ficou animado. É lá longe, pô. Tô achando que era aqui. Acho que tinha no próximo, velho.